What's up, everybody? Today we have a sweet guest in-house for the Corey McEnroe Speaks podcast, and his name is Jamie the Optimist. Obviously, I was going to have my first guest have his name be Optimist in it, and Jamie is from Philly, and he is a musician, singer-songwriter, rapper, actor, expresser, jack of all trades. I'm sure a few other things that we'll find out in the interview here. So yeah, Jamie, is there anything you want to say to start off?
I'm honored to be on the show, and I love everything that you're doing. I've been following you for the last week or so, and really love the content.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say the last week or so, because I've pretty much been on TikTok for 3 weeks. It's been a recent blast. The recent blast for me was when I found out that I wasn't going to be able to get a lawsuit for my hand injury. So it was like a huge, like, okay, there's no boat of money coming in, and I got to find a way to get my message and myself out there. So
Yeah.
I guess to volley it right back to you, my first question, first and foremost, is what is your message, and how and why are you trying to get it out?
Uh, I guess the main thing that I'm trying to do is spread as much joy, positivity, light, and authenticity in the world as I can do, and just share myself with the world, and my story and what I've been through, because that's that's really all life is about, is just sharing your
Yeah.
experiences with others, and trying to connect with people and finding people to share along this
Yeah.
journey that we call life.
And is that, were you a musician before you got passionate about, pushing that type of message and that type of energy, or did you kind of get woken up and then said, okay, now I want to do music with this?
Yeah, so I've been creating music since I was about 10 years old,
Oh,
with
cool.
a ukulele that I got for my birthday. I've only been releasing music since 2020, but I've always had, so the word optimist or optimism has always been a word that's kind of been associated with me.
Cool.
And once I started to really get into my music, I was trying to figure out what I wanted my like artist name to be, and I didn't want it to just be my name. I wanted it to be something catchy, and I
Right.
was very inspired by artists who have their name and then some adjective or descriptor, like Tyler the Creator, or
Yeah, that
the
was the first thing that came to my mind too. Is
yeah.
how the
And,
creator.
and so I wanted to have it be something like that. And Optimist was the first thing that came to my mind. And it's just kind of stuck. And now I use it as uh, a name for a lot of the different creative stuff that I do.
Yeah, I mean that's the brand. That's the brand. It's a great brand. I love it.
Thank you.
So were you rapping first, or were you singing songs first? Do you play guitar, piano? Do you produce on a DAW? And what DAW would that be?
Yeah. So when I first started writing music, it was largely influenced by the folk music that I listened to as a kid. I grew up listening to a lot of like Pete Seeger, Bob Dylan,
Cool.
like a lot of classic folk artists. And so a lot of my very early stuff was very heavily influenced by them. When I was a senior in high school, I had been listening to a lot of rap and hip hop music and kind of tried my hand at it. And in uh, freshman, or the summer before my freshman year of college, I got my first MacBook Pro that had GarageBand on it, and so
Cool.
I started producing myself and made a lot of very mediocre music, most of which I never released, some of
Yeah,
which still kind of
pawing through.
not super proud of, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and since then, I have made 3 albums, 2 of which are hip hop albums, one EDM project. I've made 1 folk album. Uh,
Cool.
I'm working on 3 more albums at the moment, one of which is a
These
jazz.
these stream on SoundCloud,
Yeah,
Spotify, Apple Music.
you can find my music anywhere. It's on all streaming services. So if you
Cool.
just look up Jamie the Optimist anywhere that you listen to music, you'll be able to find me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I did not realize your catalog was this big. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I should have done more homework. I did not realize. I see that you post your songs, and I thought you were honestly just kind of getting off the ground. I think it's just because I'm just getting off the ground, so I think everybody's where I am. But
Yeah,
that's amazing that you've been doing this since 2020. That's awesome.
thank
Uh,
you.
d- where do you feel you have momentum going forward? What is you were saying you have some things coming next. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're totally fine. So I have 1 album that I'm planning on releasing around December. That's another hip hop based album
Cool.
that I'm really excited for. The expected title of it is "Let 'Em Cook," um,
Okay.
and
Very popular hashtag right now, by the way.
yeah, exactly. And I've been working on this 1 album for several years now that is a very ambitious project that's called Only One Home. And the basic premise of it is it's a concept album that deals with the importance of taking climate change seriously.
Okay.
And so it takes place in the year 2050 when we've continued to do nothing about climate change.
It's
And so
idiocracy.
it's like this dystopian future where there's no more trees because all the major corporations have bulldozed them to make taller skyscrapers.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then the world has heated up to pretty much inhospitable levels, and so there's very few people left, and it's meant to serve as a wake up call for us to make change happen.
So I must say, okay. So yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. I see the end of it is to serve as a wake-up call, but it's very interesting. This is what I was thinking, that Jamie the Optimist is making an album that is very, we're screwed.
Yeah,
And I I am I'm very optimistic by nature. That's why I was very drawn to you. I think it's
yeah,
like I said, I think it's so funny that I found you the first person I got to do this with me. I've always been so optimistic. That's how I get through this, is just like an overload amount of optimism.
yeah,
So I think we're gonna be okay.
yeah,
Call me crazy, man, but like I think we're gonna be okay. I'm a really big believer in that we create our reality so much that we're getting into such a high frequency time for our planet that if you can focus on creating positive things, you'll have a positive reality in the next 30 years. But if you can't let go of all the horrors of the world, then you're just gonna
mm,
get like sucked right into them.
yeah,
So I'm very interested to hear that album, to see how you're still able to bring that like optimistic, motivated, light feel. But I am all about harsh truths,
hmm,
because when this happened from a baseball injury. I've been a baseball player and a coach, and um, a lot of it stemmed from not processing emotional trauma from not being able to live out my dream. And I figured out how to get really good at baseball too late. And
Mm.
then I tried out for the Phillies at Philadelphia. I tried out for the Phillies at
Wow.
at 29, and they were like, "Dude, you can play, but like we can't sign you. You're 29, so like
Mm.
gotta go." And then the next 4 years, I played in men's leagues, but I was very angry. I had a big chip on my shoulder because I knew I was at a higher wavelength, but I just couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Uh, I describe it as I could carry Thor's hammer, but there was no war to fight.
Mm.
So I'm just like, what do I do with this?
That's
so,
such a good analogy. I love that.
so, um, the first thing I wanted to do was talk to young kids and their parents about what it takes, young athletes and their parents, what it takes to be a professional athlete
Mm.
and how to get the most out of sports. Because being a pro, especially these days, is a crazy feat. You have
Yeah.
to be so elite. And a lot of these kids and parents don't get it, and it makes them not enjoy sports while they have them. And then before you know it, dude, you're in your 20s and you're paying to play in a men's league on a Sunday when half your team was out partying last night and they're hungover. And it's just not the same thing as when you're like 13 with your buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My whole thing, to get back around to your album, is my whole thing is I go in front of a room full of high schoolers and even, college kids, especially at the Division 3 level, and go, none of you are probably going pro.
Mhm.
Sorry. Even the best four people in the room probably aren't going pro.
Yeah.
So sorry, but let's try to now reframe this and go, okay, that stings like crazy. How
Mhm.
do I now make it feel better? And that's 100%, I'm sure, what you're trying to do with that album.
Yeah.
And that's it's what I've been learning so much about this process, about trauma and how to process trauma and how to like face things, and how the more we can't face things and the more we run from them, it creates this like psychological pattern in our brain to then
Mhm.
go back to these safe spaces, even if they are self-destructive,
Mhm.
which is such an interesting thing. So I'll pass that to you. You said in the beginning, part of your message is to share your story. I'm very interested, not to get too personal if you don't want to, but like
Yeah.
what was the trauma kick for you? I mean, obviously we're hopefully not going to go through that much anymore, but there's always things around the corner. We are human. But
Yeah.
what is the one that kicked for you?
Yeah. So my I struggle with a lot of anxiety and I have a lot of other like things that are going on but the biggest shift that I went through was in the summer of 2021. um, I discovered that I was autistic,
Oh
and
wow.
that was like such a mind-boggling realization, and it made me question everything that I knew about myself,
Hmm.
and made me realize that basically for my entire life I had been covering up this aspect of me and trying to be this person. I was
Oh,
basically I was masking and putting on this persona of all the people I had seen around me who I thought were cool, and just trying to be like everyone else. And so when I came to that realization, I realized, holy crap, I have no idea who I am.
yeah.
And while that was really scary, it also was a huge opportunity to create the person that I wanted to be.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so through several like mental breakdowns, I and like self-reflection, I made a list of the things that like my core values, that even if I don't know all these things about myself, I do know these like five things that I hold true no matter what I become in the future. These are like the foundations of me as a person. And since then, I've been trying to live by those things.
Cool.
Uh, yeah, and
So it's funny that you say this because I signed up for a public speaking course online called the Speaker Lab
mm,
and get like a one-on-one coach. And this guy that I picked him because he was really heavy and he lost all this weight like without anything but just diet and exercise. And he talks to people about being healthy.
mhm,
So I was like, all right, he's right along the lines of me. And then I ended up finding out that he actually talks to a lot of parents and youth hockey players because he's in the youth hockey scene in Pittsburgh, actually. He's in PA, ironically, even more synchronicity. And he's a referee, so he talks to all the athletes too, like I did. And then he's autistic. And
wow,
he just found out not too long ago. And now he also talks to people like you that were you're very functional autistic because I've worked with severely mentally disabled people. That's like what I did right when I came out of college. That's how I actually met my wife.
wow,
Um, it's like a group home. There's like 8 of them, but they're like very, very severe, like way severe autism.
mm,
Where, and then I also worked with at a school not too far from where I live, where it was all the population of kids had Asperger's,
mm,
which is now not a diagnosed thing.
mhm,
It's such an interesting thing. So um I just find every person to be fascinating. I found astrology and numerology in my early 20s, and
mhm.
everyone I meet, I always want to know their birthday to know more about them. And in my mind, as long as you're living and breathing and talking and walking, like doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? I'm always more interested in people if they're extroverted.
Mhm.
That's my whole thing. It's like
Yeah.
if you're not extroverted, I'll give you like a day or a week, a few days or a week. But like if you're still like a shy person, then like I'll just leave you alone because you're a shy person. I like extroverted people. I'm very extroverted.
Yeah.
So I like people who like to talk. Um,
Mhm.
so you're all right with me.
I appreciate that. You're all right with me too.
Yeah. So my next question would be, what is your day job? Because we all have them in the pursuit of our side passions, and how in your day job do you find like synchronicities and like those little kind of like paths, like breadcrumb. My best friend says breadcrumbs along the way of where you're going. So yeah, any examples? Anything coming to mind?
Yeah. So my current day job, I depending on the time of year, I have different day jobs. So during the fall and winter, I work at this food co-op that's like right down the street from where I live.
Cool.
Um, but during the summer, from like, or in the past, from May until usually around the end of September, I have been working on an island off the coast of Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
No way.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I for not this past summer, but the summer before that, I was the music director out there. This
Oh, that's
the
fantastic.
summer, yeah, thank you. The summer that just happened, I was the snack bar supervisor, and then I also worked on night crew out
Cool.
there. And in terms of uh, synchronicities, um, let's see, there.
I mean, if you're working with young people as a teacher, I've coached soccer, basketball, baseball, a lot of baseball. I've had private lessons. I've now
Mm,
gotten the opportunity to help out at my old high school with the play. As I told you,
mm,
I have been missing some of our connects because we're
yeah,
playing
sure.
a 35-year-old man in Shakespeare next weekend, A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's been really fun. And I got a chance to work. It's wild, dude. When I went there, our actors, the main actors of every play, they'd be juniors and seniors.
Mm.
A different crop. I'm an 88 baby. I don't know when you're born. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the kids now, it's such an interesting class and crop. Maybe it's just the time and it's going to change, but our
Mm-hmm.
best our best actors besides one really are a freshman and two sophomores.
Wow.
So it's a lot of lines for two a 14-year-old and two 15-year-olds, a lot of lines,
Yeah.
a lot of weight. So I got to work with one of the sophomore boys and help him like hash out a monologue.
Mm-hmm.
You could see like the lights coming on, and then like he got it, and it was like, it's like he's on crack, man. He was, this is nuts, like whoa. And like we left the little practice room and like went back into the theater, and he was like, we just we just got it. And I was like, yeah, we learned something. And like I had to go because rehearsal was over, but like he was like alive, and I'm
Wow.
sure you get that with teaching music. Because do you teach young people?
I don't like offer lessons, but when I was the music director in the summer of 2022, part of my job out there was to offer music workshops for the different youth groups that came through, and so I would work with kids from like toddler age through like high school, and they would stop by the little music barn that they have out there for an hour, and so I had to like come up with different activities for them all to do, and so when I was working with the toddlers. Uh, what I did was I made this short little playlist of some different songs that involve like different movements. Like I played the song "Fly" by Sugar Ray, and I was like, let's all fly around the room like
Oh,
seagulls.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I put on the song "Choo Choo" by Mac DeMarco, and I was like, all aboard the Star Island Express. And then we
Yeah.
all walked around the room like we were on a train. Um, and then for the slightly older kids, I would usually do like a drum circle
Oh,
that always went over pretty well.
yeah.
And with the older kids, I had this really cool uh, thing that I still really like, where I put on a, like five or six songs that all had very different feelings to them, and I gave everyone a couple pieces of paper and some pencils and markers, and I just told them to draw how the music makes you feel, or
Yeah.
draw what it evokes within you, and then afterward we all compared what it made us feel and showed like what we drew and stuff, and that went over really well.
Yeah, so that's okay. So that's really cool, man, because that's something I've been reading in this book. This one woman that I met at the gas station, she ended up buying me this book called "The Body Keeps the Score," and I've been reading it recently, and it talks so much about how like our bodies hold on to a lot of trauma, and
Mm,
a really good way of getting them out is through arts and music and drawing and activating that imagination to like
mm,
allow the imagination to process the trauma in like a positive way.
yeah.
uh, it's such a cool thing. So I'm such a firm believer. Like I even tell people like find your favorite movie or TV show and like find a scene or like a monologue and just learn it. It's just
Yeah.
like fun. It's like fun to learn. Like I know the monologue from Superbad where he's talking to his teacher about like why he doesn't need to make tiramisu.
Yeah.
I knew it better a few years ago, but like it's just I don't know, it's fun. It's fun to like know stuff from your favorite movies and stuff. And I also I was gonna ask you, I saw that you saw my video talking about Interstellar. Like
Yeah.
what are some of your, favorite movies along the lines of like, giving a profound message or anything?
Ooh. Um. I. That's a good question. I don't know if many of my favorite movies have like real profound messages.
Yeah, well, there's not many out there. Interstellar is a good one. There's
Yeah.
more
Uh,
out there. most of our movies these days are Transformers and there's
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely messages that you can take out of pretty much any movie, no matter how silly it might seem.
yeah.
Um, I've always considered the movie Labyrinth by Jim Henson to be one of my all-time favorite movies.
Awesome. Yeah, great choice.
Thank you.
Fantastic choice.
Yeah, Princess Bride is another one of my all-time favorites.
Okay. Um,
Which,
I love The Princess Bride. Great movie. You kind of look like you could be in The Princess Bride.
thank you. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed
Yeah,
my father. Prepare
yeah, 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 yeah. You look very Princess Bridey. That's cool. That's
to.
cool.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so have you ever seen it's a little bit further back than Princess Bride time, but have you ever seen Apocalypto?
I don't think I have.
Apocalypto is a pretty cool movie
Yeah.
about a Mayan country tribe gets raided by a Mayan city warrior clan,
Hmm.
capture the men, and they take them all back to the city, and one escapes, and you like follow him escaping.
Oh, wow.
Heart pounding.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, check it out. Very fun. And then also, I love to tell people about the OA.
Mm.
The OA on Netflix is amazingly beautiful. It talks about how near death experiences can kind of be like a gateway into another dimension. I guess we have about 5 minutes left. I guess the last question I'll leave you with is like, do you believe in an afterlife, reincarnation, a higher power? And then also like what is the last like kind of thing you want to add on for
Sure. So I'm not entirely sure what I believe in. I don't know if there's necessarily like an old dude with a beard sitting on a cloud that's watching all of us in like the stereotypical way that the phrase God is usually used. The thing I definitely know, or I feel like
Do you think reincarnation is real?
I'd like to believe that it is.
Okay.
What I do know is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. And so when our physical bodies expire, something happens to that energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and the energy that we put out into the world uh, has a real effect on everything. And I feel like music is the closest thing that we have to magic,
Yeah, that's a
and it can get you to feel things. It can get you to be able to process emotions that you didn't know you had. Um, and yeah, that's
love that. That's great. Before you finish, I think that's so true. I believe so much in my own lyricism and like I've always been a poet, and then I kind of like transferred into a rapper, and I do both. And I love believe what you want to believe about him. I love listening to Michael Jackson, man. Some of his
yeah.
lyrics really get you. I just love some good lyrics. I also love some good funky bass that makes you move. There's something about dance,
Yeah.
and movement, and that like comfortability to be free.
Hmm.
So I'm right along there with you, Jamie. That like music is the wave, and it's literally a sound wave. Um, and yeah, man, Jamie the Optimist from Philly. I really appreciate you checking in and being here with us. I'll stay in touch. We'll do this again, and we'll see some progress when you drop the albums. Let's do this again.
Yeah, I
Uh,
would love that.
uh, and yeah, I mean, anything else you want to say?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I have two shows coming up that I could.
Where are they?
No, November 10th. I'm opening for David Roth at the Folk Factory in Philadelphia. November 30th. I'm performing in New Jersey at the Showcase Tour. Um, which there's if you I've made a couple videos on my TikTok about that, so if you want more information,
Oh,
uh, go there. And a final message that I guess I have for the audience is that the world needs you to be yourself. Their social media is it's so easy to go along with the fake persona and just showing all the best parts of your life and wanting to just blend in with everyone else. But the world needs you to be yourself because everyone else is taken.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's funny. One of the first things you said when I asked you what your message was you said the word authenticity.
Hmm.
And it's funny that you come all the way back around and you end with
Full circle.
authenticity. And I really love that, dude. This was super fun. Thank you so much. We will be in touch again. We will see you again. And keep doing what you do, bro. I love
Yeah,
it.
you as well. I had a great time.
Cool. All right, bud. Peace.
Peace.